Welcome back, everybody. How you guys doing? It's Joey. You're watching Vegas D-Tech. Got another show for you guys here today. I know it's been a minute since I've been able to put out some video footage for you, but I promise you I'm back and I've got some pretty good information. And we're going to be back over here today at Gratitude Park, my favorite park, because nobody comes out here and it's just nice and beautiful, and I like it. So anyways, let's go ahead and get with this. Today, the report is going to be about the water level going up and why it's going up. Now, before we actually get started with that, let's go ahead and tell you what the lake water conditions and the levels are. Currently, it's at 1,045.53 feet, okay? And my question here is, how is it going up? Why is it going up? Now, a lot of people have been saying that it's been because of the monsoon rains that the water has been going up. And I can agree to that to a certain point, that maybe a foot of that, maybe 1.5 feet to 2 feet of that I can agree to. Because guys, if you take a look at this, right, Lake Mead is 9.5 miles across, and shoreline, it's got like 510 miles of shoreline currently, up to 700 miles of shoreline. And I can't think that a couple of weeks of, on and off rain is gonna bring the whole level of the entire lake system up 5 feet. So I've been trying to do some research and pull some data down. So in the last 14 measurements of Lake Mead, we've been seeing the inflows and outflows. That's what I'm following right now, is the inflows and the outflows. The inflow of Lake Mead is going to be at the Hoover Dam is 11,480 cubic feet per second coming in. And the outflow is going to be 7,502 cubic feet going out, okay? So that would mean 65% of the water is being let loose, and they're holding back 35% of the water. So naturally speaking, if you're holding back 35% of the water, and they're saying that they're doing that because the states down below, they don't have any need for the full flow of water, so they're able to hold back 35%. But that's also because of the tier 2 shortage, and we're trying to hold back water for that. So granted, if you're holding back 35% of what you get, it's going to eventually increase the water, and therefore the first couple of feet I could have granted probably came from the monsoons that came through here for a couple of weeks, and the rest of it has been because Lake Mead is pulling back water. Now guys, when we talk about the rains out here, Vegas only gets 29 days of rain, okay? Out of the entire 365 days out here, we get 29 days. Now there could be long stretches of days. Like for instance, this year, I think they said 116 days straight of no rain. And in 2020, we had one of the longest with 223 days straight with no rain. And when they call it a rain day out here, it could be anywhere from 30 minutes of a drizzle to a full-blown flood. You know what I mean? Would constitute 1 day of rain. So 29 days of rain per year, and the majority of it was those 2 weeks that we got last month, okay? So that would increase the water level, let's just say 1 foot or 2, and the rest of it comes from Lake Mead, holding back water. Now guys, one question that I have is, where is this water coming from? Is it really that the lake is actually getting better? Because a lot of people are actually happy saying, hey man, the water level's coming up and it's coming up fast. No, it's not, guys. I mean, I can appreciate any kind of water rise at Lake Mead, but the fact is you got to keep backtracing and finding out where the water is coming from. So I went ahead and pulled the data from Powell, which is right above Lake Mead, and then I pulled the data from Flaming Gorge, which is above Lake Powell. Now what I'm seeing here is Flaming Gorge is the first spot where the water is being held, and Flaming Gorge numbers are, check this out, 1,049 cubic feet per second in, but they're letting out 1,715. That means 39, they're giving out 39% more water than they actually take in. So they're basically draining Flaming Gorge to give water to Powell. Okay, so there's the numbers right there. 1,049 in, but 1,715 out. That's not sustainable. So obviously it's musical chairs. They're pushing water out of Flaming Gorge or depleting that because they're giving out 39% more than what they have. They're giving out to Powell, okay? Now Powell has 10,646 flow coming in, and they're pushing out 8,393 going out, okay? So that would be 78% of what they have is actually what's being pushed out of Lake Powell, and they're holding back a little bit there. But as you can see, guys, this is just musical chairs. They take from one to push it into another and push it into another, because you see, it's not just about how much water you have in your reservoir. It comes down to velocity of that water. You got to have water moving through the dams to push the turbines to make power. It's not just water sitting behind the wall. The water has to flow through the dams to actually make power. So guys, this I relate this a lot of the times to a fad diet, right? See, people tell me all the time at work how about they're losing weight. And they're like, I gotta lose some weight, man. I've been losing weight. So I'm like, how did you lose it? And they're like, well, for the past 90 days, I went ahead and lost weight by eating nothing but kale and tuna for 90 days. And I've lost X amount of weight. And I'm like, congratulations, man. I congratulate your effort. But I know in my heart that that type of eating is not sustainable. Okay, you're just not. Because here we are coming into the end of the year, and you know what comes to the end of the year. What comes to the end of the year is going to be pumpkin cheesecakes, pumpkin pies, and then you've got all kinds of gravies with mashed potatoes and turkey. All this stuff is coming. Then you got the Christmas hams and eggnogs, and you know, all that effort that you made of eating kale and tuna is going to be blown out as soon as you start eating that way. Or the first visit to KFC, eating some chicken wings, it's going to start making you lose everything that you've gained because you haven't changed anything. Yeah, you went ahead and you committed to eating crazy for at least a couple of months, but you know you can't sustain it. And I kind of compare fad diets to what's going on with the lake systems, because these numbers, even though you see a climb in the number, it looks like it's a good thing, but when you back trace it, somebody had to give up water somewhere. They're down in order for this system to go up, okay? And how long is that sustainable for? Bureau of Reclamations claims that by this time next year, they anticipate that we will see another 23 feet of water loss. Why? I mean, currently we're at a tier 2A water restriction, tier 2A, heading for tier 2B. And so we're cutting back. Everybody's asking to do cutbacks, and not using the water. So if currently the states down below us don't need the water, and we're able to just send down 65% and pocket 35, if this was sustainable, then what? We would eventually get our water levels back up to where they are. But that's not because it's sustainable. It's because one reservoir is dumping everything it's got into another, and then that reservoir is dumping what it's got to fill another. So it's just musical chairs. So guys, I have been fighting for the longest time about the reason for why we're running out of water. Now, at first, you know, a lot of people were saying, hey man, it's because Las Vegas has almost 3 million people living in it. And I tend to agree. I'm like, dude, we're living in the Mohave Desert. Why do 3 million people want to move to an area that's dry and has water problems? Why do they continue to want to move out here? Well, you can't stop moving. You can't stop people from moving to an area that they find, you know, to be desirable. And the reason why Las Vegas is desirable because it's very close to California. A lot of the people that I know that have moved out of California has given me their reasons why they had to move out of California. And a lot of those reasons are, well, I ask them, what are the good points of California? Why did you guys like living there? And the first two that comes off, the weather is great and the beaches. And then it gets really quiet. I'm like, okay, and then what? then it's silence. And then when you ask them, why did you leave? And there's just a whole bunch of stuff as to why they wanted to leave. And they want to go to somewhere desirable. And Vegas just happens to be a very close vicinity to California, and everything is built up between Vegas and Cali anyways. It doesn't take but a few hours to drive from here to there, so you're not really losing much. And you can sell everything that you own in California and bring it to Vegas. And Vegas was an affordable market, and you could buy a home out here for half the price. The same home that would be listed in California, this house would cost double the price of the same house in California. And so people are just selling their stuff out there, coming out here, spending half the money cash, no loans, no financing, just paying for this thing cash, pocketing the rest and coming to Vegas. That's a very desirable reason for why people want to come to Las Vegas, okay? So you can't stop people from coming in. So when I took a look at population as being the reason for the water drought, I realized that there's two ways that you have to look at population: direct versus indirect population. I know people are saying, Joey, what are you talking about, direct versus indirect population? Well, direct population would be people consuming water directly. So you have, say, 2.5 to 3 million people in your city, and everybody's drinking water, using water. Now, the water authority and the municipality of the city say that it's not the people. The people are not the reason. We have such a great water recycling program that 40% of all of our water that we use gets returned back to Lake Mead, okay? Because all of the water that goes down the drain is actually recaptured, recycled by a water treatment facility, which we happen to be by one right here. People always ask me, Joey, what is this place here that's all decorated? And this is actually a water treatment facility. It's just hidden behind all this. So it's a water treatment facility, and 40% of all the water that we actually use goes right back into Lake Mead, which is everything that's inside the house that goes down the drain gets recycled. And so if we're using water, say 300,000 acre feet, well, if we put back 40% of that water, then they're able to pull 40% of that water back out, okay? So there's a good thing going there. Plus, Las Vegas lives within such close vicinity to Lake Mead, it's basically in their backyard. And of course, with that third straw in the water, they're able to tap water no matter what level is left in the lake. So it's not direct population that's the problem. So then we have to talk about indirect population. And what is that? Indirect population comes down to, you've got to feed these people, man, okay? So let's just say that it's not just water directly that people are consuming. That would be direct population. So indirectly, well, how is the water being used? Well, agriculture, all right? When you go eat a Whopper and there's lettuce, tomato, and onions on it, all of that stuff is produce and the meat, right? I would say a good solid 60% of all the produce in America comes from Southern California. All right, so we're blaming agriculture for using up water. Well, guys, if it wasn't for population, there wouldn't be need for agriculture to have to develop so much food. Okay, gross. So yeah, guys, with you know, in regards to going out to the lake, I would have been doing more reports for you from out in that location, but there's really nothing to show you. I mean, the water line is going up, and it's very difficult for me to actually measure. You know, I've been questioning where do they see the full 5 feet of water, because the markers that I put up along the lake in the areas that I take a look for reference, I don't actually see a full 5 feet of water. In one video that I saw from Sin City Outdoors, they actually went to the water intake pipe, and they were showing pictures of the water level at supposedly 1,040, and then right now at 1,045. And in this picture, I was counting this thing that looked like steps, like stair steps. And each one of those stair step ringers looked like they were about a foot long. And when I took a look at the before and the after pictures there, and I counted it, and I said, if each one of those ringers are actually a foot long, then the actual water gain has only been about maybe 2 to maybe 3 feet. I don't see the full 5 feet. But then again, where are they measuring the water from? Are they measuring it at the dam? Are they measuring it from the deepest part of the channel? I don't know, because see, when you measure something against a, you know, like say a cliff, and you're using this as your measurement, vertical 5 feet of water, you can actually see that, and that can be measured. So however, if you're in a cove and it has a gradual incline, then water, any type of 1 foot of water on that is going to look like a lot of water came in. However, if you've got a steep cove, then 1 or 2 feet of water may not be as apparent in that level. So it's hard for me to gauge the water climb or the water loss from coves. But we're sitting at 1,045. We've been sitting at that for about a week now. And we've been bouncing in between 1,045. I haven't seen 1,046. It's been 1,045 for the past week or so. And you know, at some point you just plateau. And with the amount of water they're holding back as the keeping in, it's probably going to stay there for a minute. But we'll be keeping our eyes on this, and I'll be continuing to give you the water reports. And I don't believe that the actual water system is getting any better. I just believe that they're doing a fine job of shuffling water around to bring the numbers up. But like I said, Bureau of Reclamation's claims that by this time next year, they foresee an additional 20 feet of water loss. Why? Where is that 20 feet going to suddenly go? When are they going to open up the floodgates and just let everything out? Well, guys, we're going to be continuing to do these reports. I'm going to be continuing to bring you these numbers. And we're going to be seeing this stuff together, okay? So anyways, guys, that's all the information that I have for you today. If you found any of this information beneficial, useful, please do me a kindness, guys. Click the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, subscribe, and share this information with your friends, family members, and colleagues, and I will try to get back to you on my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. It's Joey. You're watching Vegas D-Tech. See you guys in the next video. Take care.